The Supreme Court is the highest court in the United States, and its decisions are final. It consists of 9 justices, chosen by the President and approved by the Senate, who serve for life. The court's main job is to interpret the laws and ensure they follow the U.S. Constitution, the nation's highest law. The court only hears the most significant cases, and its rulings set precedents that all other courts must follow. These decisions can change how Americans live, work, and form families. For example, the court has ruled on issues like schools, voting rights, and free speech. When the Supreme Court decides a case, its ruling applies to all 50 states. If a state law conflicts with a Supreme Court decision, that law is invalid. The justices listen to arguments, then vote. The majority's reasoning becomes the law of the land. Because justices serve for life, the court's direction can remain steady for years, but new appointments can shift its outlook. Sometimes, new justices bring fresh perspectives that lead the court to revisit old decisions. The current debate over same-sex marriage shows how changes in the court's makeup can reopen settled issues. People are watching closely, knowing a new decision could reshape American life. The Supreme Court's power lies in its ability to provide a final answer to the nation's biggest legal questions. Its role is to protect the basic rights of all Americans, no matter where they live. The court's decisions are not just legal, they're deeply personal for millions. That's why every case it takes can have far-reaching consequences. The nation waits, knowing the court's next move could change history. The stakes have rarely been higher. In 2015, the Supreme Court decided Obergefell v. Hodges, a landmark case about same-sex marriage. Before this, marriage laws varied by state. Some allowed same-sex marriage, others did not. This patchwork created confusion and inequality, as marriages in one state might not be recognized in another. The key question: does the Constitution guarantee same-sex couples the right to marry? The court ruled 5-4 that marriage is a fundamental right for all, including same-sex couples. Justice Kennedy wrote that denying this right violated the 14th Amendment's promise of equal protection. The decision required all states to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples and recognize their marriages. This ruling changed millions of lives, granting same-sex couples equal rights and responsibilities, like joint taxes, inheritance, and medical decisions. Many celebrated this as a major victory for civil rights and the LGBTQ community. However, the decision was controversial. 4 justices dissented, arguing the Constitution doesn't mention marriage and that states should decide the issue. Some religious groups strongly opposed the ruling, believing it conflicted with their faith. The debate didn't end with the decision. Legal and social conflicts continued. Obergefell became a symbol of progress for some, and a source of ongoing controversy for others. Now, new challenges are bringing the issue back to the Supreme Court. The question of marriage equality is once again at the center of national debate. The outcome could affect the rights of millions. Kim Davis was the county clerk in Rowan County, Kentucky, responsible for issuing marriage licenses. After Obergefell, all clerks had to issue licenses to same-sex couples. Davis, citing her Christian beliefs, refused to issue any marriage licenses to avoid serving same-sex couples. Her refusal sparked national attention and a legal battle. Couples, including David Ermold and David Moore, sued her for denying them a government service. A federal judge ordered her to comply, but she refused and was jailed for contempt of court. Davis became a symbol, hailed by some as a defender of religious liberty, criticized by others as a lawbreaker. Even after her release, lawsuits continued. In 2023, a jury found she violated couples' constitutional rights and ordered her to pay damages and legal fees. Davis and her lawyers argue her actions were protected by the First Amendment's guarantee of religious freedom. Her case is now at the center of a national debate over religious liberty and marriage equality. The Supreme Court may soon decide if her stand changes the law for everyone. Kim Davis's legal fight has brought the issue back to the Supreme Court in 2025. After losing in lower courts and being ordered to pay damages, Davis appealed all the way to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit. The appeals court ruled against her, saying her religious beliefs didn't allow her to deny others constitutional rights as a government official. With no other options, Davis's legal team petitioned the Supreme Court. They're not just asking to overturn her penalty, they want the court to reconsider and overturn Obergefell entirely. Their argument: Obergefell created a conflict between same-sex marriage rights and religious freedom. They claim the only solution is to end the nationwide right to same-sex marriage. The Supreme Court will privately decide whether to hear her case. At least 4 justices must agree for the case to move forward. If the court takes the case, it could reshape marriage law in America. If not, the lower court's decision stands, and Davis must pay. The nation is watching, waiting for the court's next move. The outcome could have sweeping consequences. The Supreme Court has changed dramatically since Obergefell. 3 new conservative justices, Kavanaugh, Barrett, and Gorsuch, have joined, creating a 6-3 conservative majority. Justice Kennedy, who wrote the Obergefell decision, retired and was replaced by Kavanaugh. Justice Ginsburg, a champion of LGBTQ rights, was replaced by Barrett, known for her conservative and religious views. Some justices, like Thomas and Alito, have openly criticized Obergefell, calling it harmful to religious liberty. This shift has fueled speculation that the court might revisit or overturn marriage equality. However, not all conservative justices are eager to overturn precedent. Justice Barrett has spoken about the importance of stability and reliance. People have built their lives around marriage equality. Overturning Obergefell could create chaos for families. Even Justice Alito has acknowledged the value of respecting past decisions. The court's new makeup makes the future of marriage equality uncertain. The stakes are high, and the outcome is unpredictable. The nation waits to see if the court will change course. The Supreme Court's next move inspires both hope and fear. Kim Davis and her supporters hope the court will protect religious freedom, arguing no one should be forced to act against their beliefs. They fear that without change, people of faith will be punished for refusing to participate in same-sex marriages. They want the court to overturn Obergefell or create strong protections for religious objectors. On the other side, LGBTQ advocates and couples fear the loss of marriage equality. They argue that government officials must serve everyone equally, regardless of personal beliefs. Overturning Obergefell would erase a fundamental right and send a message of exclusion. They hope the court will refuse to hear the case, keeping marriage equality intact. The stakes are deeply personal for both sides. The outcome could redefine civil rights and religious liberty in America. The nation is bracing for a decision that could change lives. The Supreme Court has several options, each with major consequences. First, it could refuse to hear the case, leaving Obergefell in place and same-sex marriage legal nationwide. Kim Davis would have to pay the damages, and the law would not change. Second, the court could take the case but focus only on religious freedom for government officials. It might rule that officials with religious objections can be accommodated, without overturning marriage equality. This would be a win for religious liberty advocates, but keep same-sex marriage legal. The most dramatic option, the court could use the case to overturn Obergefell entirely. This would end the federal right to same-sex marriage, letting each state decide. The country would become a patchwork, some states protecting marriage equality, others banning it. States with trigger laws could immediately ban same-sex marriage again. This would create legal chaos and uncertainty for families. The court's decision could reshape the legal landscape overnight. The stakes could not be higher. Overturning marriage equality would have immediate, far-reaching effects. Hundreds of thousands of same-sex couples could see their marriages questioned or invalidated in some states. Legal protections, like joint taxes, inheritance, and medical decision-making, could vanish overnight. Families would face uncertainty and legal battles, especially in states that ban same-sex marriage. Children of same-sex couples could lose clear legal ties to both parents, risking custody disputes and instability. The emotional toll would be immense, sending a message that same-sex relationships are not equal. Social stigma and discrimination could rise, especially for LGBTQ youth. The progress made toward equality could be reversed, dividing the nation. Marriage, once a symbol of love and security, would become a source of anxiety for millions. The legal and personal chaos would touch every aspect of life. The stakes are not just legal, they're deeply human. The court's decision will shape the future for countless families. The nation waits, knowing what's at risk. The Supreme Court's decision on Kim Davis's case is about more than marriage. It's about the future of rights in America. It tests whether a right, once granted and relied upon by millions, can be taken away. The outcome will affect not just LGBTQ people, but anyone who values equality, religious freedom, and legal stability. If the court overturns Obergefell, It could undermine trust in the judiciary and make rights seem temporary. The case also forces a national conversation about balancing civil rights and religious liberty. How the court resolves this conflict will set a precedent for future cases. The decision could open the door to more claims of exemption from anti-discrimination laws. No matter what happens, the case is a reminder that civil rights are never fully settled. The lives of millions hinge on the choices of 9 justices. The nation is watching, knowing history could be rewritten.